People are not used to women in leadership, especially perhaps your older ministers. So it's so important to gain relationship with people. Relationship is the key.
Pastor Rhonda, I'm so excited that you're here with me today. I'm looking forward to hearing your wisdom and your story. And I know that your role as Southern Missouri District as a CFO is very unique. I know that 25% of the female credentialed women are in our fellowship, and you hold a very unique role. So tell us about that. What is it like to serve in the district leadership?
Yes, you know, it is an amazing honor and privilege to do that. It's also quite a responsibility where you have to call on God often to give you direction and wisdom. I'm honored to serve in the area of CFO, Chief Financial Officer there at Southern Missouri District, and working with a leadership team under the direction of our District Superintendent Don Miller is amazing. It is wonderful, and it also has its challenges just as far as being a woman in leadership.
That's right. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What are some challenges that you feel like you're experiencing as a female leader serving the district leadership?
Southern Missouri District has been very accepting of me, and I cannot say that enough. But with that being said, of course, with only 25% being female ministers, and that being a large percent compared to earlier years, a lot of people are not used to women in leadership, especially perhaps your older ministers. So it's so important to gain relationship with people. Relationship is the key. Well, you know, we have our skills, we have our talents, and then we have the ability to have a relationship really through the supernatural power of the Holy Spirit. And He is the one that opens those doors and leads and guides us.
Serving there for 15 years,
yes.
Were you always sitting as a CFO?
No, I actually was hired by the former superintendent, Bill Baker, as the office manager when the current office manager was elected to the executive secretary treasurer position. He hired me in as the office manager, and I was there in that role for several years until we had a new superintendent, and Don Miller gave me the opportunity, knowing that I had a business background and had been in management for many years. As we restructured, he asked me to fulfill that role, which was very much an honor and a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, that's huge for Pastor Don to be your champion. Not for the sake of that you are a female, hey, we need a female in the leadership, but he knew your giftings
Yes.
and backgrounds. That is huge.
Yes.
So you're talking about earlier that relationship is very, very important. So I'm guessing that you were building that rapport already with some of the leaders even before you took on that CFO role. Correct?
Yes, I actually had the opportunity to get to know Don Miller in earlier years. And I think what I would like to say about even receiving that promotion is he wasn't hindered by me being a female. What he was looking for was a person living for the Lord, solid in their relationship with the Lord, that had the correct skill level, and that was all in my wheelhouse.
Exactly. He was looking for the abilities and skills that will contribute to the health of the district and who will take you guys to the next
Yes.
level. And
Yes.
that is huge.
Yes.
For 15 years, that is wonderful.
Yes,
I am
yes.
so thankful that you're there because you're our role model. Now, for the rest of us that are looking at you,
Yes.
we were wondering, I wonder if Pastor Rhonda happened to aspire to be in that leadership, serving in the capacities at some point, maybe not district, but when you were serving in a church setting or even volunteer at one point, did you ever wonder or had this aspiration in your heart, you know what, one day I'm going to be serving the Lord at a greater capacity wherever the Lord leads. I'm ready for that.
Yes.
Did you have that mindset?
Yes. You know, even in my 20s, I started in management positions, in leadership positions. Therefore, throughout the years, it had been very important to me to build my skills in that area, learn and develop leadership within myself. I'm a big reader. I've been to many seminars to build myself, to grow myself. And I didn't necessarily have a district position in my eyesight, but I just know that God is a faithful God. And when we prove ourselves faithful in one area, He usually has something different and bigger.
That is so cool. And I'm hearing that you're obedient in the little things that was given to you. And when you've proven yourself through your obedience and walking faithfully, that God has brought the bigger platforms. But you were ready. I think that's the thing. When God gave you this greater platform, if you had said, no, God, I'm not ready for this. I am not equipped for this. Then maybe God would have never brought it to you.
Yes.
But you had that desire and readiness to serve, whatever it was.
Yes, I think that is an important thing as we move forward in life, in whatever it is. There are opportunities, and though it does seem like at times that we are hindered by being of the female gender, we have to always remember that anything is possible with God. And God can move His hand and change the scenarios as no man can.
That is beautiful. Now, you've been there for 15 years, but that wasn't the beginning of your ministry. There were some other ministries prior to that. So briefly tell us about your ministry experiences.
Yes, coming into the district office, I was a senior associate pastor at Calvary Temple in Springfield, actually where our superintendent at that time attended. So every Wednesday night I spoke in the Wednesday night service and had to teach our superintendent, had to preach to our superintendent, which was totally nerve-wracking, but something I want to say is every Wednesday night he came to me and affirmed me and encouraged me. And I know sometimes it was probably really bad, but he still encouraged me. And that was a wealth of, just a wealth of prodding me forward.
That is so wonderful. We need those male champions in our lives who would open doors. And now you're sitting in the leadership platform. You are able to open doors for the next generation. That is so inspiring and empowering to hear you are serving at that capacity. Now, let's go back just a little bit even further. Before you joined ministry as a ministry leader, you were not in ministry at all.
No.
So you have a similar story with our General Secretary, Donna Barrett. So tell us about your non-ministry background that actually God used to equip you for this position today.
I, first of all, I will say that I accepted the Lord as a small child. So God was always, leading, guiding, directing me. In my 20s, I got into management, business management, and really for about another 20 years, He led me. And before going on staff at Calvary Temple, I was the chief executive officer of Owens Financial Network, which was a group of small businesses. And during that time, I especially had the opportunity to grow and to learn the makings and workings of business. And there again, someone gave me opportunity. I jumped on that opportunity. And I believe that something so important is that a lot of the responsibility is on ourselves to keep learning, to keep growing, both in the skill that we are gifted with, but also as a person.
Wow, that is so true. I think the theme that I'm keep hearing through your story is be ready.
Yes. And something that, probably we might want to insert. I had been at that other company for 15 years. And I was sitting at my desk one day, and at that point, I had become a volunteer pastor at Calvary Temple, and the Lord spoke to me at my desk, sitting at my desk, and He said, "Rhonda, things are about to change for you. It's going to all change." And I got really scared because I was making really good money. Wow. And, we all have our mindset that, people in ministry, that's not always the opportunity. 6 months later, I was on staff full-time at Calvary Temple. God changed my heart. He gave me the desire to leave that place and be full-time in ministry. Only God can do that.
That is so true. Even though God shifted you from one platform to another, and even non-ministry leadership to ministry leadership, God still used your giftings and talents and knowledge related to specifically finances for you,
Yes.
your role, and then now you're thriving. So now as a Chief Financial Officer, I'm so glad you're sitting here, because a lot of us listening to you right now may not know what we need to do with our money. You know, lack of money, overabundance, we don't know. So what are some of the important tips that we need to know related to managing finances and stewardship?
Yes. You know, I think first at the top of the list has to be a giver. And then from there on, we read, we grow, we learn, sometimes by error, but always in dealing with finance, also at the top is integrity. Be careful of our risk factors, and surround people in our life that we can ask questions, that we can be mentored by. Because once again, for instance, I teach Financial Peace University to our ministers. I had a class just last night. We can't ever forget God's supernatural power in the area of our finances. The Bible says it's all His. We are simply managing for the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. It's a pretty high position.
That is such a great way to look at that. We are the manager,
Yes.
and that is a privileged position
Yes.
to steward the finances that God has given us. Wow, thank you so much for your wisdom. And I'm so excited to be sitting with you, the first district female leader. It's so historical. No, really, I thank you so much. What are some of the resources that are out there for the ministers to check in, maybe to get your wisdom, maybe the courses that you might be teaching? Is there anything that we can tap into?
Yes, we continue to provide more and more resources. I actually go into churches, audit churches, meet with the deacon boards and help them on their budgets, give input on how they're operating their funds upon their request. Of course, we have Financial Peace University. We have a plethora of books that are helpful, but that is what we are about at Southern Missouri District. We are about being there for the ministers and for the churches, and we are about resourcing. We are available personally. I go into a lot of our churches and speak. I have a church coming up that I'm going 4 Sundays in a row and teaching a class on finances. So I would encourage pastors, tap into the district office and see what's available, because we are there for them.
That is so great, because we don't know what we're missing if we don't knock on the door, right?
Yes.
I believe that every district needs Pastor Rhonda.
No.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you so much for your leadership and imparting your wisdom with me today. And I think your story is going to empower so many people. I am personally going to take on that mentality of be ready.
Yes.
And just be ready to just jump in whenever, whenever
Yes.
God calls. And then we're going to do that together. Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you so much.
He orders our steps.
Yes, He does. God bless you.
Thank you.